YouTube crowd, going on running here. It is the middle of the summer in North Texas, and I'm afraid you guys are just going to have to put up with my air conditioner noise. It's like a necessity for it not to be over 100 degrees in here, even though it's 3:30 in the morning. So those of you who have been keeping up with my channel have probably also, to at least a certain extent, been keeping up with my job woes. And I just wanted to go ahead and do a video. This will be seven things on how looking for work has changed in the last year. Okay, now I just to preface things, I got laid off I guess I didn't really get laid off. I got let go kind of around the end of my probation with the last retail store I worked at. I got hired there in October, developed pretty serious plantar fasciitis. Like the day I started orientation, it was like kismet, and was trying to kind of go through treatment on top of going through the divorce that my wife just asked for. And it was a complete mess for me. And because it happened so early, and workplaces are just very stingy about when they give you things now, I just didn't have appropriate leave or paid time off to really undergo treatment for the plantar fasciitis, and go to Oklahoma and stuff and deal with my wife when she was around and simply deal with the stress of it all. I partially took that job out of desperation. I don't normally rework a store, and I certainly don't rework a manager if I'm going to rework a store. But I broke that rule this time around, and it did not work out. That being said, that job ended in January 26th of 2024, and I have to say I have never had the type of trouble I'm having now looking for work. So this is just prefacing that. I still have my part-time telecom job, but I am having to have family help me with groceries, pet supplies, and some of my rent, and that's about to be shut off. Everybody say hi to Joe. Hopefully he behaves during this video. So this is not in any particular order, it is just a list. So number one, there are simply, and by the way, if I say anything offensive in this video, I'm sorry, I'm just stating things the way I see them. Number one, there are simply too many people in this country right now who need jobs. The immigration issue, and simply the amount of people moving to Texas from other states in general is probably causing some of this issue, at least around here. However, I hear this issue is kind of going down, nationwide, if not globally. So perhaps this is happening everywhere, or it's just not as localized as I think it is. But there are way too many people needing literally every kind of job out there. And I'm not applying for tech jobs or anything like that. I mean, I'm talking retail, fast food jobs, barista jobs, things like that. It's getting kind of really out of control. There are just too many people looking for jobs. Number two, younger people living with their parents can afford to work for less. So one, people tend to want a younger back. I'm 46, and in this job market, I am almost too old to hire. And I need to make at least $15 an hour, and that really isn't enough. But that is the minimum I'm asking for. If some younger individual living with their parents, or just some individual living with someone else, went in there and figured that they could survive on less, then I don't see why that place wouldn't hire them. I think it also has a lot to do with also how well the company can manipulate you, and how well they ultimately think that they can work with you. I think that most jobs that I'm looking for, they could teach a monkey to do in a couple of weeks. So I think that there might be a little bit more to it, but money these days is certainly part of that. And if someone's willing to take $12 an hour instead of $15, I mean, that's pretty much them hired, and as I see it. Let's see. Number 3, there might be a lot of tech jobs available, but retail, customer service jobs aren't abundant. They keep saying that those industries have leveled out, and they're still doing good on hiring, but based on my experience, I cannot agree with that. I think that there are a lot of people, at least here in the DFW area, that need these types of jobs, and they just aren't hiring like they used to. Walmart is closing stores, letting people go, the same with the other retail locations. I'm just not at an age or a degree of health where I feel like I could work at a convenience store overnight, or even full-time. A lot of people don't realize how difficult working for a convenience store or at a gas station is. I've done that a couple of times, and that is literally the only job I've had where I was not allowed any breaks or a lunch. You literally work 8 hours straight, and you have to kind of snack as you go, and just hope that you can sit down for a minute between customers at some point. So I don't know that tech jobs are really hiring that much. I have a friend who works in that industry, and his company just hired 13 people, but he also just recently had a hard time getting his paycheck. So I think everybody's feeling the economical pinch. I just don't feel like jobs in general are as abundant as they say they are. Ghost listings are a big problem. I think that should be illegal. Like, if a job's not available, it shouldn't be listed. Number 4. Come on, Joe. 15, I kind of mentioned this already. 15 an hour may be the new minimum wage, but it, can't read my own writing here. It almost isn't enough, and many companies pay under that. So, if you're needing $15 an hour, do you take a job for 12? I mean, I might be able to go out and get McDonald's to hire me right now, but I would have to ensure that I could work my other job. They're only going to hire me part-time. I believe their starting pay for like a food prep person is like $10 an hour. So I would literally have to make sure I could work my telecom job for 4 hours a day, and working that out, I would only make $88 a day before tax. So probably closer to 78 after, which is I mean, it would certainly cover a few things, but it would not cover everything I need it to cover. Hello, Jenny. How you doing? Please be good. So they keep saying that, like, they're fighting for this $15 an hour minimum wage, but at the same time, it just isn't sufficient. You need a little bit more these days. All right, number 5. Oh, I did mention this already too. It's not really doing the job anymore. It's how others can work with you. I applied at Sprouts, and I have about a decade in retail now. I would have no trouble at all doing whatever job they needed me to do. But when it came down to it, they completed all their interviews and chose not to hire me. So that would mean that A, I either asked for too much money, B, my age didn't work for them. I had a kind of feeling the second they saw me, I was very well dressed and smelled nice and everything. Or C, they just didn't feel like I was a good fit for the environment. And I suspect that it might have been a combination of all those things. They could probably hire a younger person who was willing to take less money and is more moldable as a worker and individual, that they wouldn't have to, work with so much and have issues with, who would probably need less time off overall and stuff like that. So it's a big deal. Number 6. This I have a problem with. People expect you to ask questions even if you've worked in that industry for some time. Like, how many questions can I really ask about a grocery store that I don't already know? It doesn't. It's very difficult when, like, the interview and tour are over and they're like, well, do you have any questions? And you're really struggling just to ask something because A, you probably asked all the questions you need to ask during your tour, which in the case of Sprouts, for example, I did. But when it came to additional questions, I didn't really have much to ask, and you've got to be careful about asking ridiculous stuff just for the sake of asking it. So I think the people doing these interviews need to take into account that, the person I'm talking to has 10 years experience working retail and grocery, and he might know what he's doing for the most part. And the last one, number 7. A lot of the interviews I've had lately, the interviewer was like a plank of wood, like a blank piece of paper. They were almost impossible to read. You just get this impression that they're not going to hire you right away, which could also mean the job doesn't really exist. And I like to check on that. I like to go back into the store once they've told me that they're not going to be hiring me, and just kind of take note over a few days and see if there's anyone new there or what type of person they did hire. That's also another very good tactic, is if you have some time before your interview, if you know when your interview is coming, and you have some time to go visit the store clandestinely, or can get there early before your interview, and you don't see anyone like you working there, if everybody's younger or older or whatever, or just not like, if there's not a copy of you there, then I don't know if you're going to get hired for that role, So that is just something to keep in mind. So there we go. 7 reasons why how looking for work is different in the last year. It sounds like my girl cat Jenny is having some issues. I'm going to go check on her. Thanks for watching the video, and Goemon Ronin out.